If you've been online lately, you've undoubtedly heard about the mixed reception Supergirl has been getting lately. And if you're anything like me, you're really curious about how the movie actually turned out. Well, I just got it out of an early screening for the film, and without spoiling it, I'll give you my immediate reaction and thoughts. First off, I have to say, I actually had a really good time with it. I absolutely loved Superman, so my expectations were admittedly pretty high, especially after all the trailers, which I also thought looked really good. Now, that said, I do think that Superman was still the better movie, but I did still have a really good time with this one, and I think the new DCU is off to a really good start. Millie Alcock was phenomenal as Supergirl, and I can't imagine anyone else playing that role better than her. I also did really surprisingly like Jason Momoa as Lobo, which I'm going to be honest, I'm not the biggest fan of Jason Momoa, so I wasn't sure how I was going to feel about him, but I will admit he was really good in this. As for the story itself, I think it was pretty solid. I haven't read the comic Woman of Tomorrow that the movie's based on, so I can't speak on how accurate this movie is to the book, but I feel like, in general, comic book movies do take their liberties when adapting a book, but judging the movie on its own merit, I did really like it, and I was engaged the whole time. I like how stylistically it's a bit of a departure from Superman. My favorite thing about this new DCU is that each project has its own completely different tone and style, unlike the MCU, which for the most part to me kind of feels like you kind of get the same thing with each movie. You know what I mean? So I'm glad that DC isn't afraid to take risks and make each movie and show its own kind of thing. And I think it really paid off here. Now, I will say one major complaint that I had was that I felt like the villain was fairly underdeveloped. And if I'm being honest, I don't even remember his name off the top of my head. Don't get me wrong, he was okay, but I just wish there was a bit more depth there. He just came across as a pretty shallow character. But that said, overall, I still really enjoyed Supergirl. I landed on an 8 out of 10 or a 4 out of 5. Like I said, this isn't like cinema gold by any means, but it's a good fun time at the movies and a nice summer blockbuster. And like I said, it does do a good job of further developing this new DCU, and I'm excited to see where we go from here. With that all said, thank you all for watching.